All right, today we are jumping into one of the most famous parables ever written about dealing with change. Who moved my cheese? It's a really simple story, but trust me, it packs some profound truths about how all of us can get better at navigating the constant curveballs life and work throw at us.
So, let me start by asking you something. Just take a second and think about the last time something big and unexpected happened. A sudden job change, a shift in a relationship, some new challenge that just popped up out of nowhere. How'd you handle it? Were you ready to roll with it, or did it kind of knock you off your feet? Just keep that in the back of your mind as we go through this.
The book actually kicks off with this exact problem. Picture this. A group of old friends, they get together in Chicago. And from the outside, they've all made it, right? They're successful. But once they start really talking, they find out they're all wrestling with how to cope with change. Then one of them, Michael, says he used to be terrified of it until he heard this one simple story that completely changed his perspective.
And that story is the parable we're going to break down today. Now, Michael admits that at first he was kind of annoyed by how simple it was. And look, the book isn't without its critics. Some people say it gives big companies a pass for making really disruptive changes. But its real power isn't as some corporate manual, it's as a personal tool for looking at your own mindset. Michael realized the four characters in the story were really just different parts of himself. So let's get into it. It's all about two mice and two little people looking for cheese in a big maze.
Okay, so first, we've got to understand the world this story takes place in. The maze isn't a literal maze with hedges. It's a metaphor for, well, anywhere you're trying to get what you want. It could be the company you work for, the industry you're in, your neighborhood, or just the complicated journey of your life itself.
And what's everybody looking for inside this maze? Cheese. But again, we're not just talking about cheddar here. Cheese with a capital C is a stand-in for whatever it is you want out of life. For you, maybe it's a great job or being financially secure. For someone else, it might be good health, happy family, or just a sense of peace. It's whatever you think is going to make you happy.
All right, let's meet our cast of characters. There are 4 of them, and the whole idea is that they represent the simple and the more complex parts that live inside every single one of us. As I introduce them, see if you recognize a bit of yourself in any of them.
So, here we go. First up, you've got the mice. Sniff, who has this amazing sense of smell and can sniff out change from a mile away. And Scurry, who doesn't waste time thinking and just scurries into action. Then you have the little people who are a bit more complicated, kind of like us. There's Hem, who's gotten comfortable, is terrified of change, and just digs his heels in. And finally, you've got Ha, who's also pretty hesitant at first, but eventually he learns that adapting can actually lead to something way better. So which one are you feeling like right now?
All right, here's where the story really gets going. All 4 of our characters have hit the jackpot. They found a place called Cheese Station C, and it is overflowing with their favorite cheese. They get comfortable, especially Hem and Haw. They start to see it as their cheese, something they're entitled to. They build their whole lives around it. And then, one morning, they show up, and it's all gone.
Now the mice, Sniff and Scurry, they react instantly. And here's the thing. They weren't even surprised. They had their little noses to the ground and had noticed the cheese supply was getting smaller and smaller every day. So they don't waste time analyzing or complaining. Their reality changed, so they changed right along with it. They just laced up their running shoes and took off into the maze, ready to find new cheese.
But the little people? Oh man, their reaction is the complete opposite. They are totally blindsided. Hem's first response is just pure outrage. He just yells, "Who moved my cheese?" He feels like a victim, like some great injustice has been done to him. It's just not fair.
And this is where Hem and Haw really start to go down different paths. I mean, at first they're both just stunned. But Hem, he doubles down. He's totally paralyzed by his fear and this deep-seated belief that he deserves that cheese. He just refuses to accept what's happened. Haw, on the other hand, well, he's frozen too, but a little seed of doubt starts to grow. He starts to think, maybe this cheese isn't coming back. And he even suggests that maybe, just maybe, they should head back out into the maze.
But Hem won't budge. He's not going anywhere. So How has to make a choice. And his journey is really the heart of the story. It's where we find all the biggest lessons. This part is all about how one person can go from being completely paralyzed by fear to actually embracing the adventure of change. The big turning point for Ha comes after days of just sitting there, getting weaker and weaker. He suddenly sees how absolutely ridiculous their situation is. 2 little guys just waiting around for cheese that's never going to come back. And he just starts to laugh.
out loud. He laughs at himself. And that little moment of self-awareness, it just breaks the spell. He realizes he has to move on, even if it means going alone and leaving him behind.
To get himself to actually move, Ha asks himself this incredibly powerful question, a question you can ask yourself too. It helps him see that his problem isn't the maze, it's the fear of the maze, the fear of the unknown. This question lets him imagine a different future, one that isn't controlled by fear.
Now, it's not like it's an easy ride for him. The maze is a scary place, and he's weak from not eating. At first, he only finds tiny scraps of cheese, and yeah, he gets discouraged. But then he has this critical realization. As tough as this is, it is so much better than just sitting back at Cheese Station C, waiting for nothing. At least now he's in control again.
And this leads to one of the biggest messages in the whole book. Ha realizes that all the terrifying things he was imagining in his head were way, way worse than the reality of the maze. The simple act of just moving forward, of facing that uncertainty, it's totally liberating. He feels free. He's no longer a prisoner of his own fear.
Then, Ha stumbles upon this amazing mental tool. He starts painting this super vivid, detailed picture in his mind of finding and enjoying new cheese. He imagines the different tastes, the textures, that feeling of success. And this isn't just daydreaming. This visualization, it actually gives him strength and makes his goal feel real, like something he can actually achieve.
And this is the lesson he literally writes on the wall for him. And for us, having a clear, positive vision of where you're going doesn't just keep you motivated. It actually starts pulling you in that direction. It switches your focus from what you've lost to everything you stand to gain.
And of course, all his hard work and his change in attitude pays off big time. He finally turns a corner and discovers Cheese Station N, and it's overflowing with all these new, amazing kinds of cheese. And who's already there, happy and well-fed? You guessed it, Sniff and Scurry. His courage paid off beyond his wildest dreams. So now that he's found all this new cheese, Ha takes a moment to think back on everything he learned. He writes down all the key lessons from his journey on the walls of the maze, kind of like a roadmap for anyone else like his buddy Hem, who might get lost. So let's take a look at what he wrote. Okay, this is basically the book's practical toolkit. Let's run through it. First, change happens. They are always going to move the cheese. That's just a fact of life. So, anticipate change. Get ready for it before it happens. Then, monitor change. Be like the mice. Smell the cheese often so you know when it's getting old. Next, adapt to change quickly. The faster you let go of the old cheese, the sooner you can start enjoying the new cheese. And finally, it's all about mindset. Enjoy change, savor the adventure, and be ready to change quickly and enjoy it again and again. But maybe the most powerful lesson of them all is this one. It all started for Ha when he was able to laugh at himself for being so stubborn, so scared. That little bit of humility, of self-awareness, that's the key that unlocks our ability to let go of what was and move toward what can be. So, let's end this by turning the whole story back to you. What's the old cheese in your life right now? Maybe it's a job, a belief, a routine that just isn't working for you anymore. What fear is keeping you stuck in a cheeseless situation? And more importantly, what amazing new cheese might be waiting for you just around the corner if you can just find the courage to step back into the maze?